In this video, I'm going to be talking about the tactical matchup in the Champions League game between Tottenham Hotspur and Red Bull Leipzig. Tottenham lined up in a pretty simplistic 4-4-2 formation to start. Red Bull on the opposite side lined up in a 3-4-3 in the offensive phase and a 3-4-1-2 in the defensive phase. So start with, let's look at how Red Bull built up out of the back. We'll look at this phase first because this is basically the whole first half of the game, was Red Bull holding onto the ball and Tottenham couldn't really get near Leipzig at all. One of the issues appeared to be Tottenham's pressing. Tottenham's pressing seemed to be trying to force the play wide and then pressure the ball and win it out there. However, when the ball was played out wide, their pressing left big gaps through the middle of the field, and Leipzig found a lot of joy through the middle this way. If we take it back and look at just at how the shapes match up, Leipzig have a 3v2 overload here in the first line. Then they have two holding midfielders in a double pivot lined up against the two central midfielders of Tottenham. Out wide, they have their wing back essentially lined up in between the outside midfielder and the outside defender on either flank. The forward line then matches up with the center forward Schick in between the two central defenders, and Nkunku and Werner both lining up in between the center defender and fullback on their side. This becomes very important because this line of five with the wingbacks, the three forwards, up against Tottenham's line of four defenders will pretty much always provide an overload. In order to try to cope with this, Tottenham did spend a lot of time with their outside midfielders dropping in and trying to defend the wingbacks. The reason they had to do this was because with Werner and Nkunku taking up narrow positions in the half spaces, they were more the concern of the fullbacks here. So if we go back to having the wide midfielders from Tottenham here, or up the field a little bit, then any pass out wide now presents a problem for Tottenham. You can see here, just in a flat line, we have five attackers from Leipzig and four defenders. So what this means is that now the outside midfielder from Tottenham is trailing, trying to apply pressure. And so when they come across like that, now we have a three. So now we have Aurier, the right back, putting the pressure on the left wing back from Leipzig. And now we have four remaining attackers against the three defenders from Tottenham. So a lot of times you just had Werner played down the line because of this overload. So for that reason, if we go back, a lot of the times the outside midfielders would stay very deep from Tottenham, trying to prevent this overload from the wingback on either side. So they would get pinned back pretty deep. This pretty much just allowed Leipzig to play the ball around as they wanted. And because the outside midfielders are trying to prevent this pass out wide, the gap in between them and their central midfielder is big, and it allowed passes into the half spaces for Nkunku and Werner on both sides. A common theme throughout the first half especially was Werner drifting very wide here on the left side, sometimes even on the right side though. And when Werner would drift wide, Angelino, the left back for Leipzig, would tuck narrow. This would drag, in this case, Jedson from Tottenham, the right midfielder, in because he wants to make sure Angelino doesn't stay open in space. Aurier doesn't want to come all the way out to Werner, though, and leave a big gap in between him and Sanchez. So Werner then is wide open. And as he gets the ball, Tottenham shifts over. Angelino, instead of running into this space, because he's not slow, but he's not quicker than Werner. So what would happen a lot was Werner would get this ball, and they would play a little give and go down the sideline to take advantage of Werner's pace over Aurier. So now we've looked at how Leipzig have progressed the ball down the wings. Let's look at how they progressed the ball through the middle of the field. A small rotation that happened quite often would be Leimer, number 27 for Leipzig, checking in a little bit as a holding midfielder, and then Sabitzer, the number 7, would push up. Then we could see Werner push up a little bit into the defensive line of Tottenham, and Nkunku drop a little deeper. Because Nkunku drops a little bit deeper, this prevents wings from following Leimer when he drops. Similarly on this side, Lo Celso cannot follow Leimer into midfield because Sabitzer is pushing up the field here. So Leimer would receive the ball here, and now Winks would have to make the decision to go, which leaves Nkunku open. And then this left a lot of opportunities because, as I said before, with Mukiele and Angelino joining in, there's pretty much always a 5v4 in attack. Now let's take a look at how Tottenham attempted to build out of the back. First, let's take a look at Leipzig and how they were defending. They were defending with their back five, their wing backs being pretty aggressive, pushing up quite often onto the fullbacks of Tottenham. They had their double pivot, like they do when they build up. But the difference in the forward line would be Schick would drift out to the right, and Werner would stay on the left, and Nkunku would drop into more of an attacking midfield spot when defending. The reasoning for this seemed to be that Werner and Schick were responsible for any ball that came to either of the center backs and preventing the second pass from going out wide. This would make sense because out wide for Leipzig, there's only one wing back. We don't have another wide midfielder to help defend out there. So Schick and Werner both were responsible for cutting off the pass from the center back out wide. So this rotation looked a little bit like this. We see that we press up, Werner presses up on Sanchez, Nkunku man-marked Winks quite often to prevent him from helping build up because that is his main role. Then we can see Leimer and Sabitzer filling in these passing lanes in between the three pressing players up top. Looking here at the shape of Tottenham when building up, it is very asymmetric or lopsided. Alderweireld checked into the middle and Sanchez pushed out to the right a little bit, and Ben Davies checked back and stayed deep to help with build-up. Whereas Aurier on the right side pushed up very high and was an attacking threat. In the midfield, Winks dropped in to help with build-up most of the time, but Lo Celso could do that too if necessary. Jetson was playing down the right-hand side like a normal winger. Bergwijn on the left would like to cut in, and then Dele Alli and Lucas Moura both pressed up on the defensive line of Leipzig. Leipzig's pressing was very solid, and there were very few times that Tottenham actually built up out of the back, especially in the first half. One situation that allowed Tottenham a little freedom was down the right-hand side with Serge Aurier. As we can see here, this lopsided build-up has allowed Tottenham to basically go man for man, 5 attackers against the 5 defenders from Leipzig. A lot of teams' main goal when defending is to have a spare man at the back, and Leipzig are no different. Especially in a back 3 or back 5, you want your central defender to be your spare guy, not having to man mark anyone. In this situation, we can see that Ampadu, who's not the fastest, is here man marked against Lucas Moura. So to compensate for that, what Leipzig would do would be to shift over a little bit. This allows Ampadu to take up the middle covering role, and Halstenberg to man mark Moura, and now Angelino comes in to mark Jetson. However, this leaves Aurier wide open down the right wing. This ball over to him is where we saw most of the attacking play from Tottenham. As you can see here, we basically have 3 Tottenham attackers that can attack down this right wing, and we only have really 2 defenders from Leipzig that can cover that space. Overall, Tottenham pretty much just looked to play long balls out of the back and could not really find a solid way to build through Leipzig's pressure. And Leipzig on the other side of the field had a very easy way to build through the lines and through all of Tottenham's weak pressure. Thanks for watching. Please leave any feedback in the comments.